Thank you, Rahul. How about now? Really loud. Okay. 1 second. How about now? Let me know if this is okay. Okay, sounds like this is okay. This is still okay. This is still okay. And this is still okay. Okay. Yeah, it just seems like one of those days. So when I woke up this morning and I got everything set up and ready to go, because when I stream, okay, I think somebody, I'm gonna let people continue to confirm that they can hear me because I think it's working now. So Kwame, let me know if you can hear me. When I woke up this morning, interestingly enough, I had to reset the camera input in OBS. I use OBS for streaming, and it didn't even occur to me to check to make sure the microphone didn't have to be reset. I don't know why that happened. I wonder if OBS did like an update in the background. So I don't know why. Yeah, so I don't know why. I don't know why that's happening. Let's just go down the list and say hello to people, and thank you for letting me know that you couldn't hear me. That's obviously a good thing. Rahul is here. Rahul Builds. I think you changed your username. Welcome. One of the mods in the chat. Monique Robinson is here. Monique, thank you for being here. Also a mod. Gogo Elmo is here. Gogo Elmo, formerly Go Elmo Go, currently Malik Robinson, messaged me this morning on Instagram to let me know that my streams were set to PM instead of AM. So it makes me feel like a little bit of a hot mess, but it's okay. It's fine. It just seems like it's going to be one of those days sometimes. And Kwame is confirming yes now. So Rayhan says, why is it always saying you need to be a subscriber of at least 20 minutes to chat whenever I click the chat? It's because I put those restrictions on. I mean, it's interesting that you asked me that question. Are you unsubscribing from my channel when I'm not streaming? So that is a restriction that I put on my chat to make sure that I keep the trolls and the troublemakers out of my chat. So that is a restriction that I have imposed. My thinking is that for people who want to come into my chat and cause trouble, they're not willing to wait for 20 minutes. So, Rayhan, are you unsubscribing from my channel every time the stream is over? You can just stay subscribed if you want to. Oh, that's interesting. No, I'm not unsubscribing. Why is it always saying you need to be a subscriber of at least 20 minutes to chat whenever I click the chat? I can chat after a second after that warning. Okay, well that must just be that something as part of that must just be part of the UI. I wonder. That's just part of the warning. You can chat. Well, hang on. Let's test this out. I know you can't see my screen right now, so just bear with me. I'm going to log in as one of my other accounts. So when I look at my chat as, oh, so this is just the, are you talking about this gray box? Hang on. I think you're talking about this. All right, let's go here. I think you're talking about this. Subscribers only mode. Messages that appear are from people who've subscribed to this channel for 20 minutes or longer. It's because you go, yeah. So, for the record, Rayhan, I wasn't accusing you of anything. I was just thinking to myself when you asked that question, are you unsubscribing every time? That's just what that made me think of. So it's because you go back from the chat and re-enter the chat. Yeah. So I think that this is just something that YouTube does, but this is a setting that I set specifically for my streams. The reason I decided to do that is because when I first started streaming, I didn't understand these settings. I didn't even know you can impose these types of settings. And I was also brand new to streaming, and I didn't know how to deal with anybody and at any time, especially in the chat. And I had people coming into my chat causing trouble, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And as I got more comfortable with streaming, I thought, okay, and I learned about these settings. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put a limit on this and discourage people who are only here to cause trouble. So that's just a big, long explanation. But this box specifically is something that YouTube does that I think is just listing what my settings are. So good question. All good questions. We love the questions. So thank you for letting me know I was muted. Thank you, Malik, for letting me know that I had PM, not AM on my streams. Listen, most of the time I have my shit together. Sometimes things like this happen. We just roll with the punches here, right? Also, and I'm not going to talk about this at all, but I think it's worth acknowledging that Minnesota and Minneapolis are in the national news for a lot of stuff right now. Things are a little tense. Even especially for the people who live here. So I so look forward to the streams where we can just take our minds off of things, do something fun, interesting, connect with like-minded people who just want to enjoy front-end development. Yeah, that's really what I want to do, is I just want to hang out with my friends in the chat and do some front-end. So with that being said, I do quickly want to show you that I updated the gallery for responsive video gallery. So I think I have 7 YouTube videos and 5 Vimeo videos, and it's seamless. So here's a Vimeo video. And I just grabbed B-roll from when I was vlogging earlier this year, and I made little 20 and 30 second videos, things that are just like really benign and, you know, simple, and don't take away from the gallery itself. So anyways, it turned out great. I have some more updates that I have to do. I actually have to update this afternoon this JavaScript part of the documentation. But yeah, I did get the videos done here over the last couple of days, and overall I am just thrilled with how this turned out. So thank you to everybody who hung out with me while I worked on this. I do have some other open source projects that I really, really want to do. I want to do this thing called practice layouts. And I have this idea for this domain and this landing page to be educational and encouraging people to practice layouts and giving people kind of like a front end roadmap, so to speak, for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I have not had any time to sit and plan it out though. Plan out the content, plan out the layouts. So I want to do this spring. I just haven't had time to plan it out. So in the meantime, we're going to work on some fun stuff. And here's what I've decided our next two projects are going to be. First of all, I made this silly little landing page back in 2014 when I was just a baby front-end developer. Back when I lived in San Diego, and I hadn't seen this in years, and I came across it in my files the other day, and I was like, oh my God. I literally, as soon as I saw it, it took me back to my studio apartment in La Mesa, California, where I sat and designed this when I had my first dev job at this place, which is no longer open, but it was called H&H Real Estate Media. I was a WordPress developer there. It was my first job as a dev, and it was the McDonald's of web design. It was wild. It was a very difficult place to work, but oh my God, did I learn so much. And this is something that I did in my free time, but I never actually built. So I say that we build this out. I even did navigation. Home, about, blog, contact. I was thinking instead of blog, let's make this menu and let's make like a cafe, coffee shop, bakery, little website with a menu. Doesn't that sound fun? I think that sounds really fun. And I have to tell you, I like this color scheme. This is kind of like up my alley. So I don't know what you guys think of it, but I kind of like it. And so I think some of the design and the this centering these things isn't quite right. In general, I don't love center aligned things. So I think that we could tighten up some of the design in terms of like typography and things like that. But for the most part, I kind of like this. I even like the silly lobster font. Let me see here. Let's see here. Okay, Rahul is giving us some feedback. I just checked the responsive video gallery website. Small UI issue. Not really. My 1920 by 80 laptop showing scroll bar when opening the Vimeo pop-up. Oh, that's interesting. Let's zoom in a little here. I am not able to duplicate the scroll bar. Rahul, so first of all, Rahul, thank you for that feedback. If you are able to do so, could you send me a screenshot or maybe even like a little video, something, and just show me what you're seeing and what you're experiencing? I would love to see it. I would love to see exactly what you're seeing because I don't see that I'm able to duplicate that. Even if I zoom in, I'm not seeing a scroll bar anywhere. So let me know if you're able to do that. I would love to see what you're doing. And Rayhan says, why don't we have the live chat after the stream has ended? I've seen other channels have live chat even after the stream has ended. So I do have live chat after the stream has ended. If you're referring to videos within the last week, YouTube had an issue. Let me see if they're even still. They had a message here on the back end in studio. I don't see it here. They had an issue with processing live streams. So they didn't, the processing time after a live stream usually takes about 24 hours, and the chat isn't available until the video has finished processing. For the last week or 10 days, it was taking 48 to 72 hours for videos to finish processing. And in that time, the live chat isn't available. But as far as I know, the live chat is available after a stream. So here's my last stream from 2 days ago. And yeah, the live chat replay is here. So we do have a live chat replay. It's just, it's not available until the video has finished processing. And they very specifically were having an issue with processing. So yes, there is a comment section and a live chat. So hopefully you were able to see this. So here's comments, and then here's live chat replay. So hopefully you can see that. So Memory Clips is here. Hello, Memory Clips. We have bonded over Fazl Sai and Turkey. Monique says, menu would be nice. Yeah, perhaps show how you select the colors. I believe it is coolers.co. Let's see here. Oh, look at this. I've never seen this before. So I'll tell you how I selected the colors for this. I'm almost positive I had like a color picker. This was back in my Windows days. So I didn't start using a Mac until the end of 2015. And I remember back in my Windows days, I had a color picker. I don't remember the name of it, like a little app for Windows. And I'm almost positive I just came in here and was picking a couple of colors. And that's what I did. This looks really cool though. This looks really cool. I also like to use Adobe Color Palette Generator. I like Adobe Color Palette Generator, and I know that there are other extract theme. I know there are other things that do this. This is just the one that I use. Let's do this. Let's just do this. So here's the JPEG of this. Let's see here. Bright, colorful. Where are they getting? Oh, they're color picking the Google map. Not once, but twice. Why are you doing that? There we go. Deep. I like this. I like this a lot. Dark. I mean, dark is okay. I like the deep. What do we think? I like it. Let's do some oh, Monique says she uses it all the time. I like this I like this a lot. Where is it here? Let's close this. Rayhan, hopefully you can confirm that you can see live chat for past streams. I'm able to see it on my end. I do like this. Start the generator. Let's see what happens here. Okay. What am I supposed to do? Hit the space bar to generate random color palettes. Okay, I'm hitting the space bar. I'm sorry. What am I? Like a color. Oh, this is the tutorial. Sorry. Like a color, click on the lock icon to keep it. Now only the best matching colors are picked. Continue by locking colors. Look how the palette is being created. Click and space, click and space, click and space. Okay. Check the contrast and color blindness simulation to make sure your palette is accessible to everyone. Now that you're really done, okay. Okay. Oh. Wait, can I go back? Yes, I can. I like this. Oh, this is really neat. So let's use this when I mean our next two projects, well, this project and the next project already have color palettes, but we'll definitely use this when we build practice layouts, because I don't have anything set aside for that. I have nothing planned for that. So, but yeah, I really like this. This is pretty cool. So thank you for sharing this. I am going to bookmark this. Boom. Let's go ahead and test the contrast for this. Color, contrast. I'm always, well, I shouldn't be, but I am always surprised at what I don't seem to know. Rizzy is here. When you come across a big project, how do you break it down? That's a good question. Well, literally, I mean, I think you're seeing me do it right now, right? Literally, I start with, okay, come on. I start with, okay, what do I need to actually start building? Hopefully you guys know by now that I don't write any CSS until all of the markup is done. I tend to take the first page, the home page first, because once you build a home page, so think about this, or this has been my experience. Once you build a home page, you have literally built half your website, because you've built two things that will appear on every single page, which is the header and the footer. And then think about everything else that got defined while you were building the home page, the layout, many of your global styles, how you style your images, your color palette, your font choices, your spacing, all of those things are being defined on the home page. But before you can write any CSS, you have to have markup, right? You have to write all of the, in my opinion, I know not everybody does this, but it really is a front end best practice that you write all of your HTML from top to bottom before you write any CSS. That is a best practice. I know that's how it's being taught. But I know that when you're new and you're kind of anxious and you want to get going, you don't always do that. Do it. I promise you it will save you time. So just start with the home page, write all of your HTML, get a color palette, understand what colors in your palette are accessible. Make sure you have your fonts ready to go. Make sure you know what color is an accent color and what colors can be used for backgrounds, for UI elements, for typography. Oftentimes having a color palette, like half the colors in your palette won't be accessible. That's actually good to know, and it takes so much pressure off of you, because if you're like me and you get analysis paralysis and you just feel like you have so many endless choices, Knowing what can and can't be used eliminates a lot of the guesswork for us, right? So always do the HTML first, always. You will save time in the long run. Just build the first page. Once you build the first page, you have your header, your navigation, you have all your accessibility figured out, your color palette and your color contrast figured out, your typography figured out, your layout figured out, your footer figured out. All of those things should be responsive, and then you can literally copy and paste and just build the inner pages from there. So in my opinion, that is the best way to break it down. So, and I think I demonstrate that with every project. I don't think that my approach really deviates at all. So if you've watched me build multiple projects, I think you're going to see me take the same approach every time. And when you have, like, when you say big project, I build UIs. So for me, that's like, I don't know, a 10 or 15 page website, I guess. So start with the home page, and then you can knock out those inner pages, because half your site is done once the home page is done. So colors can always be changed if the client changes their mind on the palette, but the markup can still be the same. Think accessibility also. Exactly. That's why we define colors as variables. Think about if you have a big site and your colors are defined as variables and you need to change a color or make an adjustment. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be building anything that the client hasn't approved as a mock-up, right? So hopefully you're not actually building something and then showing it to the client for the first time. So if you're a freelancer, you should be doing mock-ups. I mean, I think this is a great example. You should be, so let's say that this is actually a good mock-up. I think that's debatable. Say that this is a mock-up that you do for a freelance job. You should be showing this to the client and they need to approve this work. You shouldn't be writing any code until the client has agreed to a design. Do not do this and build it and then show it to the client. That's not a good way to approach freelancing. So, and then, okay, so Rahul sent us a loom. Okay, hang on one second, Rahul. We're gonna get to that. And then Monique says, notice how Angela spends a lot of time on markup and then bam, she adds the CSS. Yeah, I learned that specifically from Chris Coyer. Chris Coyer had a tutorial on lynda.com, which is now LinkedIn Learning, but back in the day it was lynda.com. He did a tutorial on building custom WordPress themes, and what he basically taught me in that video was not just how to build themes, but he taught me front-end process, which is that you have a Photoshop mockup. It could be anything, but he used Photoshop. You have a mockup first, you write all of the HTML first, and then you write all of the CSS. And once I learned that, I could not be stopped. It changed everything for me once I learned that. So, and Rayhan says, I've been learning to become a full stack developer. Where can I find some projects to practice with? And how do you come up with ideas to make a project? So I can answer this insofar as that I am a front-end developer, although I have done some full stack projects. I think check Traversy Media, because I feel like Traversy Media has like 5 things that you should do if you're doing front end, like make an e-commerce website, make a game, and I don't remember what the other things are. E-commerce website and build a game are the 2 things that I can think of. Honestly, I think that's a great question for Google or for ChatGPT. The ideas that I come up with to make a project are that I have a collection of mock-ups that I've had since I was a freelancer that I used to buy to help me come up with layout ideas when I was building and designing for my clients. So my idea for this channel specifically was to go through all of these mock-ups, and I have dozens, maybe hundreds at this point, and just practice my own front-end skills. And I just choose designs that I think look interesting and I build them. And that literally, that's all there is to it. That's all. That's how I get my ideas for the things that I'm going to build. You could also check something like Pinterest. Pinterest is a wealth of information when it comes to, let's see here, when it comes to ideas. I don't know if I would live stream anything from Pinterest because there could be some copyright issues, but you could do web design UI inspiration. And there's lots of things here that you could build or take inspiration from. Again, if you're starting your own channel, I wouldn't live stream copying a Pinterest template because a lot of these things are paid. Well, the templates, the mockups that I bought are also paid. But I specifically have a license where I can build those things. I can make them available as open source work, but I can't redistribute the mockups themselves. I could redistribute the mockup as a PDF or a JPEG, but not the layered Photoshop mockups. That's specifically what my license says for the things that I've purchased. So it is safe for me to stream building those things because the end product is free and open source. But yeah, I think you just start Googling for ideas. That is my best advice. You could also do the mockup route, right? There are lots of marketplaces where you can buy mockups and just follow a mockup. I actually think that that's a great idea because as front-end developers, in all likelihood, you will be given mockups from the designers, the UI UX designers at your organization. So, So I think that you are NAND to Tetris course today. Like I just understood how our tools are really broken down. So are you responding to the process that I described? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Rizzy G. Yes, Monique. Monique remembers Linda. That was my exposure to tutorials. That was the first time I ever saw tutorials. And I have to tell you, in the beginning, as good as Linda was, they were some were really, really good. But as a beginner, I really struggled with Linda tutorials because they were many, many hours long and they weren't as beginner friendly as I needed them to be at the time. So Christian Codes is here. Welcome, Christian Codes. We're so happy to have you. Christian has a YouTube channel and he streams every day. Check him out. He's a lot of fun to watch. It starts with NAND. I don't know what NAND gates, and it builds a whole computer with just NAND gates and translators in short for hardware definition language. I'm not exactly sure what Rizzy is talking about. In the phase of building chips using NAND gates. So Rizzy's working on some stuff. Rizzy's working on some stuff. We love that. I love it when Rizzy's here. He's extremely engaging in the chat. Rahul says to practice UI, you can also clone ThemeForest templates. Just to learn, Front End Mentor also has free UIs. Yeah. So I buy my templates on ThemeForest because I needed those layered PSDs to do mockups for my clients. But you could absolutely take a picture of any website or any template. And if it's just for your own personal use, just use it like a layout. I do that here all the time. I rarely put the Photoshop mockups into Affinity Photo, which is what I use because I need layers. I almost always am just looking at the pictures. You can absolutely do that. It's a great way to do it. Right now, my main focus is building front-end projects, intermediate, advanced, and guru using React. I will move to TanStack later for personal projects. I think that everybody in the chat is going to have a very promising future as a developer. You guys are amazing, the things that you work on. Avanesh says, can we complete the project by purchasing and modifying the templates? Sure, why not? I've done that for people. I've done that for clients. Because I was started my career in WordPress building custom WordPress themes. A couple of times I bought UI templates, literally the things that we build, HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript. I took them, I modified them, and I turned them into custom WordPress themes. You can absolutely do that. NAND to Tetris is a course on Coursera which makes you build a computer. Oh, wow. I have no interest in doing that, but I think it sounds interesting. And Rahul is saying, first be good at React and then go for TanStack Start. I've never heard of TanStack. I'm working on it on the side while doing my front end work. You guys have a lot going on. Front End Mentor has templates and it's pretty good for learning, has helped me a lot. Yeah, I agree. Front End Mentor does have some good stuff. But my larger point is that there is inspiration everywhere. For me personally, I think Pinterest is a great place, but I know that there are lots of places similar to Pinterest that you can find things. Yeah, so. Okay, so let's look at, Rahul sent us a Loom link. So let's check out this Loom link so we can oh, interesting. So he okay. So let me see if I can duplicate this. Oh, yep. So it scrolls if it's, I mean, I guess if it's not high enough, it scrolls. If it doesn't have enough height, it scrolls. Probably because stop. So the aspect ratio is changing with the width. But not so much with the height. Okay, well, do we need to make sure that has a max height also? So we've got aspect ratio 16:9, height auto. Oh, but that's not, hang on, it's the dialogue. I'm pretty sure it's because of this height auto. Maybe it's because so this does not have a height and a width. The container has, I'm positive it's because we're using aspect ratio and the height is, could we do a max height auto, max height 100%? See, this keeps popping up. come on. Yeah, the aspect ratio is not going to change just because the height changes, which means there is going to be a scroll bar. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look into that. I'll put that on the I'll put that in the backlog because I haven't experienced that. I hadn't experienced that till now. So thank you for sending that to me. Thank you for letting me know. Um, yeah, I'm gonna do some more testing. I don't know. I don't know what to do about that. This is why QA is so important. This is why it's so important to have people who are willing to test your work. Doesn't mean I always know what the solution is or what the answer is, but at least I know. At least I'm aware of the problem. Okay. Let's move forward. Let me see here. Oh, Christian Code's Dribble and Cosmos. Dribble also has been around for ages. So much good stuff on Dribble. Let's see here. Okay, and then there's a conversation happening that I don't that's among the people. It's okay. We're good. Yes, please do me a favor. Like the video if you haven't already. Of course, that assumes that you actually do like the video. We got off to a bumpy start today. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it so much. It helps the algorithm and it helps me get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. So let's go ahead and make sure our color palette is accessible. So we're doing this a little bit backwards because we haven't written any HTML yet, but we're here, we have it pulled up. So we'll go ahead and do this now, and then we'll just make a note of it. No big deal. So, I think, well, I don't know. I don't know what's accessible, honestly, and I don't want to guess. Nice. So this maroon is accessible. Let's make sure. I mean, I think if it's accessible in one spot, if it's accessible one way, it's accessible the other way. Okay, good. So let's check this. So this technically is accessible. We're good. So it fails normal text AAA. That is still acceptable. So I'm okay with that. Let's see though if this is accessible. Okay, so this is still okay, 4.89. And I do like it. I like it that it's not a pure white. I like to check both ways just to be on the safe side. We're still okay. We have a little different shade of black. That's obviously accessible. Let's see how this gray looks with this black. Still accessible. Nice. So we have some really good choices here. This is rare that we have a color palette where everything, not every combination, but every color in the palette is accessible. So I'm just going to do this. Just going to copy these colors. And we'll start a style.css. And we'll just put these in here. Well, I guess we can just go ahead and do our root. So what's first? Where are we here? So we'll call it maroon. So we'll say maroon. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me right now? Hang on. Okay, I don't have a browser. One moment, hold please. Okay. Yes, I just forgot that I had to put 2 dashes in front of the variable name, and I had to go look. Okay, teal. We'll call this light gray. And then we'll call this gray. And then we'll just call this black. All right, we have our colors. I think I am going to throw in a white just because. And then just because we know that this is this lobster font, let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and grab that as well. So we're doing things a tiny bit backwards, but that's okay. We also need open sans. The other type was open sans. So we don't need Montserrat, we don't need Lustria. Open sans. I don't love open sans. This is a really good question. Ka says, for this coffee website, do you think making it mobile first, then scaling it up works better? So, mobile first doesn't start with code. It starts with a design. All I have is a desktop design. So I can't, if I don't have a mobile first design, I can't design it mobile first and then scale it up. And I, in 2014, built this as a desktop first design. So I could go back to Photoshop and redo the design as mobile first, sure. But this is what I have, and I am choosing not to take the time to do that. So, and I think that you are pointing out here, whether you're meaning to or not, which is that probably most people are going to see this on their mobile device, right? Like maybe they're out tooling around town looking for a coffee shop and they're more likely to pull it up on their phone, or maybe get a link to it from Google Maps or something like that, then go sit down at a desktop computer. So I understand the sentiment and I don't disagree with that. But I think this is also a good opportunity to point out the fact that mobile first design starts with design, not with code. And I don't have a design that is mobile first. I have a desktop design. So that's how we're going to do it. So I hope that that answers that question. I hope that makes sense. So open sans and lobster are our typography. And we don't even have an HTML page yet, so let's go ahead and do that. Index. There we go. And then we can just make a note of this as well. And Casa's good point, must have a mobile first design. Yeah. I think that that is such a good question though. And I definitely appreciate it because it gives us a chance to like talk it through, talk it out, right? And I also I will make note of the fact I will totally acknowledge the fact that everything I've done on this channel has been desktop first. And maybe it's time in 2026 to start doing some mobile first. Now, to be fair, all of the designs that I have are desktop designs. I don't really have any designs that are mobile first. I have some mobile views, like a set of mockups where it's like, oh, here's some ideas for how the mobile navigation could look, but nothing that is truly mobile first. So I will make sure that in 2026 we are doing some mobile first, because that is an important thing to learn how to do, but it does start with the design. It doesn't start with code, it starts with the design. So and then let's just toss in the link to the CSS. Okay, and we'll go ahead and get started with a header.header, a main.main, and a footer.footer. And let's see what we have here. So we have, I'm going to say that this is our H1 right here, which means that on inner pages, it would not be the H1. So that's a change that we have to account for on the inner pages, but that's fine. So on the home page, this is going to be the H1. This is the name of our coffee shop. And then we have navigation on the right. Pretty straightforward. I would say that this is a hero image with 4 containers over top, and then we go directly into a footer. So on inner pages, the main is really, I mean, I guess we could put these in the main and just position them over top of the hero. So our header is up here, and then we would go into main with the hero section and 4 modules. Yeah. And then the footer. So we're still using header, main, footer. Yeah, we could do that. It's just going to look a little different on the inner pages. So we have to make sure that we're really specific with our class names for the home page. So, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us today. We are just getting started on a new project. So, okay, pretty straightforward. H1 on the left, navigation on the right. So we'll say H1. We'll give this a class of primary. I'm going to give it a class of primary logo. It'll be text-based. And Avanish is saying, how can a user be redirected to the login pop-up after successfully submitting the sign-up pop-up form? So I think you're asking about like functionality or a UI that has authentication, which is not what I'm doing here right now, unfortunately. So I'm not able to answer that question specifically. And Rehan is saying use autosave. I actually don't like autosave. I specifically turned it off, and I prefer to save on my own. So I tried it. I couldn't stand it. So I don't like it. But thank you for noticing. So I'm going to say coffee, but no tea. Yeah. Let's see here. And then we'll just go ahead and do a nav. I'm thrown off by how deceptively easy this seems like it's going to be. Navigation We'll do a UL with the main nav. Oops. And then we'll do an LI with an anchor element. And this will be home. About menu. I think it's going to be really fun to design a menu. And contact. And we could do a working contact form as well. Oops. And let's go ahead and put some markup in here for a responsive navigation. So this would be a button with a class of open button and menu button. Open button and menu button. And then an ARIA label. Open menu. And then let's go grab some SVGs. Ionicons. So we'll do menu. Close. And what are our social media? So I think I'm going to do GitHub, Instagram, Pinterest. Well, not GitHub. It's a coffee shop, right? So I think a coffee shop could have a YouTube channel. So let's do YouTube, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Or we could do X. We'll do X. Yeah. Well, we will have to go find. I have an X icon. Ionicons doesn't have an X icon. I have a theory that they don't like Elon Musk, and that's why they don't include one. But I don't know. Maybe they just don't care about this project anymore. Hard to tell. Hard to tell. So, okay, Instagram. Facebook, X, TikTok, and WhatsApp. Oh. Can we do Instagram instead of Facebook? We could do TikTok. And WhatsApp. Fair enough. I tend to choose social media icons that I actually use. So, and I don't, I use X a little bit. I don't use TikTok. I don't use WhatsApp. I definitely use Instagram. So we've got Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, and Instagram for Gen Z. Let's do, oh yeah, let's go find an X. Hang on, I have an X icon someplace here. Icons. I have SVGs, brands. This is the Font Awesome free pack of SVGs. And here's an X right here. Okay, we have an open, a close, an Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, and X. What else do we need? I think that's it. We have our fonts, we have our color palette, we have our SVGs. Let's go ahead and just get the rest of our mobile navigation in here. So we want ARIA controls, main nav, and then we'll give this an ID of main nav. And then we want ARIA expanded false. Menu open. And we'll add ARIA hidden. ARIA hidden true. Oh, and Rahul says, I am busy fixing the responsive video gallery issue, sharpening my CSS skills. I got it to work. Well, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and submit a pull request, and well, if you want to submit it now, we can do it at the end of the stream. I'm happy to do that. We'll take a look. We'll take a look together and see what the solution is. It is an open source project after all, so that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to take out anytime you see a fill or a stroke with a current color or a color, I suggest that you take those out. Don't remove the attribute. Don't remove the attribute itself, just remove the value, and then we will be able to control this with CSS. We will have a much easier time controlling this with CSS. So here's our button to open. And then let's put in our button to close. And we'll put in a class of close button and menu button. And then we'll also add an ARIA label of close menu. And that's it. We don't need to have ARIA controls because this button is inside the nav element, and we don't need to have ARIA expanded because, again, it's inside the element that is either expanded or not expanded. So, and then we'll add our close SVG. And we'll add ARIA hidden true, and that's so screen readers don't read out the XML, and I'm going to take out current color. And that's it. This is all that we need for our accessible, responsive navigation. So when we get to the CSS, this will be very easy to style. There's not much going on here in this header. All right. So now I'm going to treat this background image. Here's the background image. It was part of the PSD. So let me actually save this as the image into our project. So what do we have here? So it's a 1920 by 1080 at 100% or at 100% quality. We're at 655.75 kilobytes. I think that is way too big for a hero. So let's take this down a little bit. So 74% is 222. I think that's still a little high. 65% is still 200. Let's go down to 50%. So 50%, 133. 55%, 180. So let's save this and we'll see how it looks. We'll see how it looks. And I'm going to give this a nice SEO friendly name. So we'll say coffee. What is the name? Coffee but no tea. Coffee but no tea. And then let's just see how it looks like this. Did I not save this in? Oh, we need a different folder for our mockups. Yeah, that looks okay. So this is the natural size. I think it looks just fine as a background image. Let's do this. Designs. Okay, there we go. So we'll do a div. We're not going to do a section because there's no, I mean, each of these, yeah, I'm not going to do a section because if it's a section, it has to have a heading. I don't have a heading specific to the hero image. So we'll do a div and we'll just say, call it the hero. And then I'm going to give it a figure with a class of figure. And then we'll do an image. The source is images. And here's our JPEG. And what's our alt text? Coffee and cookies displayed on a table. Coffee and cookies displayed on a, whoops. Displayed on a table. And then do we want these 4 containers to be inside the hero container? I think they can be. Although I think we need to do a div.wrap. So then this figure could be positioned as the background to the hero. And then these things would just naturally sit inside the hero container. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So we'll do articles with a class of article. And then since we have an H1 already in the header, let's make these H2s. So we'll say H2, secondary heading. And what do we call this? Primary logo. Yeah, I think that's fine. Primary logo. So on inner pages, when we make the inner pages, we have to change this from an H1 to a div because we don't want the site title to be an H1 on inner pages. We want the page titles, about, menu, contact. We want those to be the H1s. But on the home page, your logo or your title or your site title or your business name should serve as the H1 for the home page. That's the appropriate way to do that. So make sure that your styles are based on your class and not your H1. That is going to be overly specific and very difficult once you get to those inner pages. So yeah, so that I think that makes sense. Okay, coffees. And then this can just be a UL. And one moment. let's see here if we can copy this from our design so we don't have to type it out. Where are we here? I did all of these separately. Why did I do that? Okay, well. I remember when I designed this, I remember looking up types of coffee on Wikipedia to fill this in. And I have no idea, I don't remember why I decided I needed to design a landing page for a coffee shop. No clue why I thought that was a good idea. I didn't have any freelancing clients at the time. I had just started working at my first job. Excuse me. I had just started working at my first job as a developer. My freelancing really didn't, I mean, I had done some freelancing at this point, but my freelancing didn't really ramp up until the later part of 2014. And I was freelancing and working at this job at the same time. Yeah, those were the days. We'll just call this the Café list. What else do we have? We have snacks. And oh, these are hang on. There we go. All right, Heidi, what are you barking at? All right, we have events. Well, let's copy this first. What are you barking at? She sees something outside. Okay, so for the events, what is happening here? There we go. So for the events, I think we could definitely still do this as a list item. I think we would want to put this little container in a span. And I think we would put this in a span. And then I think we would make these display inline block. Yeah, I think that's what we would do. So we could do a span and we would say June 11th, span, what is it? Open mic night. June 15th, piano bar. Oh, whoops. And then book club. Specials. The special today is a piece of birthday cake with every cup of coffee, because cake makes everything better. And I still believe that to this day, that cake makes everything better. I think this can just be a paragraph, right? Whoops. Whoops. No, hang on. Stop. Whoops. There we go. Now we just need to do the footer. Yeah, this is a good observation. If you haven't tried this in your projects, try it top to bottom. Markup. It'll just make it everything so much easier, in my opinion. So we can even put in like a little Google map, right? Maybe, I don't know if I really want to pull in like an iframe though. Maybe we'll just do like, maybe we can just do like an image. Should we just do like an image? Hang on here. Let's do an image of La Mesa, California, which is where I lived when I built this. Oh, and right now it is 46 degrees in San Diego. Holy cow. They must be freezing their tails off there. If it got into the 50s, people started wearing puffy coats. I mean, talk about weak. Weak. Yes, weak. Let's see here. I guess I'm just going to do this. Nope. I'm not going to pull in an iframe of Google Maps because I just hate the page load times. So let's just do this. Yeah, perfect. Let's just do this. Let's just do stop. There we go. I'm just going to do a big screenshot of La Mesa, California. Grossmont Center. This is where I did all my shopping. I lived very close to here. I lived, oh, wrong, Angela, wrong Zoom. I lived Grossmont Center. They must have just built this Costco right here, because this is not the Costco that I went to. Here's Grossmont Center. I used to live right here on Baltimore Drive. El Cajon, Baltimore Drive. Oh, yes, right here. Yep. Hang on though. Oh, it's changed in 10 years. Baltimore. Okay, it's right up here. I used to live. There's really a Costco here now, huh? Wow. Yep, here's Lake Murray Boulevard. I used to walk around this lake all the time. Hang on, this must be. I want to go back in this direction. Yep, right here. This is the gas station where, like, in my first couple months living here, I backed into this, like, probably this one right here. I had this little SUV, and I backed into this when I was backing up into the pump, and I crunched my back tail light. But there is this 7-Eleven right here. I don't know if we're even going to be able to. Oh, we are. Can we see it? This 7-Eleven right here was a little scary, but this right here, Los Titos Mexican food, to open 24 hours. The best Mexican food you will ever eat in your entire life. I've never had anything like it, not before and not since. The best 2 years of my life, I think, were because I lived within walking distance to Los Titos. Outstanding. It was such good Mexican food. I enjoyed living in San Diego. I liked La Mesa. This was a fun little suburb to live in. Yeah, one of these little steel pillars right here, I was backing up into the pump and I just like crashed right into it. I was probably lived here for like a couple of months, but yeah, this was a fun little neighborhood to live in. Los Titos, man, if you're ever in San Diego, you gotta go to Los Titos. You know, this is a Cali thing. It is a Cali thing that they have these little Mexican. It's not like a taco stand. I don't know how to explain it, but like every strip mall has something like this. We don't have this in Minnesota. I've never seen it in any other state. It must be a Cali thing. I don't know. But also Los Titos was like widely known in San Diego. Like everybody in San Diego knew about Los Titos, and I was just lucky enough to live down the street from it. It was, I don't know, man. If I haven't been back to San Diego since I moved 10 years ago, and when I go back, I am going to Los Titos. So I don't think so. That's a good question. Would the steel pillar have the markup of the crunched taillight just yet? I don't think so. I doubt it. I doubt it. I had a 2000. What did I have? A 2008. Was it 2000? What year was that? I think it was a 2008 Saturn View, and it was orange. This is the car that I had. Right here. I loved this car. I loved this car. I drove this car back and forth to California. And then as soon as I moved back to Minnesota within a few months of moving back to Minnesota, I got into a car accident and I totaled it. I had it for 9 years. I really did love it. So somebody ran a red light. I had the green light, and I was flying through an intersection because I had the green light, and I T-boned him and totaled it. So I had Heidi in the back. It was like January. It was dark. It was night. It was like 10 below zero. It was wild. So I broke my foot. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. So if there was any evidence, it would be orange. But alas, I don't think so. Yeah. A Takira. I think so. I don't know. They just have these little kind of mom and pop run Mexican places. The food is so good. That's where the orange color of the iPhone comes from? I don't know. Oh, and Malik says it looks like the Ford Edge I have. I think Ford Edges look really nice. I liked that car. I love it. And then after that, I bought a GMC Terrain. That's what I have now. 2014 GMC Terrain, which I also happen to love. Oh, and Caffeine Cowboy says we have tons. We had tons of them in Chicago. I haven't been to Chicago in years, but I believe that Chicago has amazing food. Chicago has outstanding food. So, although I will say we have some good food in Minneapolis and St. Paul too. So, but nothing like Los Titos. Nothing like Los Titos. So, okay, I digress. That was a fun little trip down memory lane. Let's make sure that we put that image in our project. Let's see here. Here's our screenshot. Put this in here. And let's rename this La Mesa, California map. I recommend that you give your images good semantic names for search engine optimization. Oh, and Caffeine Cowboy clarifies, they still have them. I'm just not there anymore. Fair enough. Fair enough. So we have, I think it's maybe a year or two old, but they just started Amtrak service from St. Paul to Chicago. And I have a friend who, her and her husband have done it a couple of times, and we've been talking about doing it. So I haven't been to Chicago in years, but I love Chicago. Well, I know people have mixed feelings about Chicago. I personally enjoy Chicago. So, yeah, to visit. So, okay. We have, we just have to get this footer in place. So I would say that directions, hours, and daily brew, I'm going to call those H3s. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like these could be 4 equal containers. So maybe these would be asides. So let's do a div with a wrap, and then we could do a side with the class of aside. And then I'm going to do H3 with the class of tertiary heading, and we'll say directions, and we'll use a figure with the class of figure. I always put my images inside of figure tags. That is the semantic way to handle those. And we'll just say map of La Mesa, California. And we'll do aside with a class of aside. And this is an H3 with a tertiary heading. Our hours, we have a UL. We'll give this a class of, I think that we could probably use the same class that we're using up here. We'll call it a footer list. Oh, this works out. All right. I feel like this could use some formatting for readability. So I might play with this a little bit, the hours. And then we have our daily brew. And we have an H3, again, with a class of a tertiary. Why isn't it? I feel like that should autocomplete. And then I think we can just give this a div with a class of title, green eye. Aside with a class of aside. Oh, and okay, so here we have, so this is going to be navigation. I always put my social media links in a nav element because to me, links are navigation. And then we have coffee but no tea, so we can put this in a div, and I think we can reuse the class primary logo, and that will automatically be styled. And then we'll just put the copyright inside a paragraph tag beneath that. So in our, so we don't have a heading for this aside, that's fine. Let's do a nav with the class of social navigation. And then I'm going to do a UL with the class of social. We'll do social menu, keeps it consistent. And then we'll do an LI. I don't usually put classes on my LIs and my anchor links. I find that classes on the parent and the grandparent container are generally enough. So we'll grab our SVGs. So here's Instagram. And we'll put in an aria hidden true. And then I don't see any inline colors, so I don't see a fill or a stroke or anything like that. If I did see that, I would just take out the value, not the attribute. And then we have the ability to style that. And then we also, on the anchor element, we need an aria label. So we want an aria label. I've kind of switched back and forth between using spans with access hidden and aria labels, and I'm more inclined to use an aria label on the anchor element to say what it is. So we're going to go ahead and do it this way this time. So we've got an aria label of Instagram and then an SVG. And then this will be aria label. We can do TikTok. TikTok. And again, I don't see any inline styles. So we'll just do aria hidden true. An LI, with an anchor element. Aria label. WhatsApp. I don't see any inline styles. I see a fill rule, even odd, but that doesn't have anything to do with the actual fill or the stroke, so we can still control that with CSS. ARIA label, X. I highly recommend, if you need some free icons, you could go to Font Awesome and download their free pack. Although I don't think there's any shortage of places to get free icons these days. So, and here we have fill current color. So I'm going to take that out. So that's interesting. We have to remember then that the X icon has a fill, but the rest of these have a stroke. I'm pretty sure the rest of these have a stroke, but the X icon has a fill. So I'm just going to take out that value. We'll leave the attribute. And then we'll make sure this is ARIA hidden true. And I think that's it. After the navigation, we'll go ahead and do div with a class of primary logo. And we'll say coffee, but no T. And that should style automatically, in theory. And then in paragraph tags, I'm going to put copyright. Let's see here, and copy. I like to use HTML5 entities. And then we'll do an ID equal to date. We'll make a dynamic date with a little bit of JavaScript. What else do we have here? Copyright. No, that's it. There we go. There's all of our markup. Let's close out some of these things. And then let's go ahead. I have not started a Git repository for this yet, so let's go ahead and do that. And we'll get this committed. Let's see here. We'll do new, and we'll say coffee, but no T. Okay, and then I'm just going to copy these last three right here. I'm going to open up the terminal. Oh, and before I do anything, because I always forget, git ignore. And then let's make sure this is, I don't think there's anything else. I usually have to hide the designs, but I made these designs, so I'm not going to hide them. I can definitely include them. I'm pretty sure I got this coffee image or this hero image from Unsplash. I'm pretty sure I did. But the only version of this image that I could find was part of the layered PSD. So if I find it, I will definitely put credit in here. Yeah, I think that's it. So we'll say git init, git add, git commit, initial commit, and then I paste in those three things. And there we go. We could also, we'll make sure that this has a GitHub page. So we're going to deploy from a branch. Our branch will be main. come back here, and in the About, use your GitHub Pages website as the URL. I usually just leave deployments checked, and we can do this. We'll put some tags in. So this is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Boom. Just like that. So if we look at this now, it's just, yeah, this is all it is. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's exactly what I expected it to be. So I think tomorrow we are set up to just immediately start writing CSS. It's not going to take us long to do this. Not at all. Let's see here. Entertainment is here. Sorry for being late. Hope everyone is doing great. You are right on time. Do not apologize. We're obviously happy to have you. Malik said the same thing. You're right on time for the good part. Hope you are well. And Rahul sent the pull request. So let's do the pull request for responsive video gallery and see how that turned out. I'm so excited. I have other pull requests for other projects. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking to yourself, I sent her a pull request, I'm so sorry. I just haven't gotten to it. I'm getting back into the swing of things after the holidays. So let's go to pull requests. Oh, there was another one here also. Dynamically added article to the DOM from your JSON. Let's look at this. Oh, this is Caffeine Cowboy. I hope it's okay that I'm showing this in the live stream. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Perhaps you didn't want me to show that in the live stream. Let me know, Caffeine Cowboy, if you're still here, if it's okay to show that. Hang on one second. I recognize the picture. That's how I know who it was. I'll just pull up Rahul's until I know if it's okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, here we go. Changes. In style.css, I updated 2 lines on dialog modal class, removing the padding and using the min function to prevent the scroll bar from appearing. The dialog is now centered on desktop and modal. Thank you. And the close button position can be adjusted if it feels too attached on the right side of the screen in mobile. In script.js, I removed the loop from create dialog and used the parent element to achieve the same behavior in a cleaner way. Only the loop was removed. The core logic remains unchanged. Interesting. Let me see here. I would just like to look at it. So if grid return, fair, add event listener. Okay, so we don't need the loop since you're just clicking, you're just getting the target. If no button return, okay. This looks great. This looks great. Thank you so much, Rahul. Gosh, I appreciate this. So let's go back to the CSS. Oh, nice. That's a very easy fix. So we took out the padding. Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the pull request. Let's go back here. Merge pull request. Confirm merge. And then there is a GitHub page, so let's check. Let's check this in staging, and as long as it looks good in staging, we can go ahead and deploy this with FileZilla. So let's give this a moment to percolate. I don't know yet if it has. I think so, because it looks, does it look more even? I'm not sure. Let's do this. We'll know. Yep, so this is deployed because the JS is up to date. Yep, look at that. We can see it's much more even. So I think the button placement is just fine. The button placement, I think it's okay if the button covers up a little tiny part of the video. And then let's, can I get into the corner here? Yeah, look at that. Let's see here. So now this is responding to the height change as well. Well done. Well done. I'm sure I would have figured that out eventually, but this is the beauty of open source work and sharing your work with other people and getting these types of contributions. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I don't think Caffeine Cowboy is here anymore. So I didn't notice that I had a pull request specifically for this. So Caffeine Cowboy, I'm sorry I showed that briefly. I will take a look at that after the stream. Thank you to everybody who decides to contribute to something and send me pull requests. And I promise I'm going to get caught back up with those because I have some on other projects too. And I just need to get caught back up on a few things here. So, well, with that being said, we have a few minutes left. So what if we just do a couple of things? What if we just do a couple of things to get us started for tomorrow? Let's not do anything too crazy. Let's just write some global styles. These are styles that I like to use in every single project. I actually decided that in 2026, I want to make my own, not like CSS reset, not my own framework, not my own library, but something kind of like it that is kind of simple, but also has some good global styles in it and maybe has some like good grids and things, layouts in it. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. So let's start with HTML and we'll say box sizing. Hang on. Oh my gosh, Angela. Why am I forgetting things today? Box sizing border box. Box sizing border box. All right. And then on our body, I always say padding 0, margin 0. Might be a little bit redundant, but it's just a habit. Let's grab our typography. So I think Open Sans is going to be our body typography, and then we'll define the lobster for the headers. And we'll set the font weight to 400. And then I'm going to say font size 100%. line, your line height. I usually set line height to 1.65. We can adjust that, but that's something that generally works for me. I'm going to say color. We're just going to set to our black. And then background color, I'm going to set to white. I highly recommend that you always set a background color because the user may have some preferences, some system preferences, and if you haven't specifically set a color, it just might not look right depending on what your user preferences is. User preferences are. So I recommend that you always set a background color regardless of what the color is, even if it's just white. Yeah. So let's go then with, so for figures, I always take the margin off. So we'll just say margin 0. For images, images by default are display inline. I always change them to display block. I say max width 100% and height auto. Oh, and I'm just realizing that I forgot to deploy responsive video gallery. So let's bang out a few global styles and then I'll crack open FTP and we will get that deployed. So for SVGs, I generally change, so SVGs are also display inline by default. I used to set them to display block, but lately I've been setting them to display inline block, which has been working really well. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to give these a width of 3 rems and a height of 3 rems. That's just to rein them in. Here's another thing I like to do. So there's a fill and there's a stroke. Sometimes so I don't always know which is which. So just to see where I'm at, I'll say fill blue and I'll say stroke red. And then if we check our document, we know which SVGs are which, and that just makes styling a lot easier. So we know that the open menu and the close menu buttons have a stroke because they're red. And we know, oh, that's interesting. We know that all of the social media icons have a fill because they are blue. Really? I thought for sure that they all had a stroke except for X. So now we know. That's how you test. So I'm going to leave those just like that because then when we get to those, we're going to know, do we need fill or do we need stroke to go ahead and style those? So I'm going to leave those as red and blue. Do we have buttons? Yes, we have buttons. So by default, buttons are display inline block. I generally don't change that, but I do remove the padding. I know that you could just do appearance none, and it's fine. It doesn't change accessibility. I personally just don't like doing appearance none. I think that that's relatively new. I really feel like in the old days, if you did appearance none, those buttons didn't get focus anymore. It's not like that anymore. It doesn't change the accessibility, but I just can't do it. So this is how I handle this. So I'm going to say border none, background color transparent. There's some things I just can't not do. So now our buttons just look like buttons, and I'm going to say cursor pointer. What else do we want to do? Let me look at a past project here. What else did I like to do? Body, figure, image. Oh, our H1s. So we know we're using H1, H2, and H3. So let's go ahead and set all headings to lobster. And I generally set the line height on headings to 1.25. That helps with styling. Headings by default generally have a lot of margin on them. I'm not going to adjust the margin now. We'll just wait and see how it goes. Yeah. Anchor links. What do we want our anchor links to look like? Well, we know we have links in the navigation. That's generally always going to be different from any links that appear in the body text. And we know that all of our colors are accessible, which is pretty unusual. I think the maroon was the most accessible, right? The teal met all of the accessibility except for the triple A normal text. So let's make our links maroon. So we'll say color maroon. And what are all of my values? I can't remember anything today. So we want text decoration color. We'll also do maroon. And we want text decoration thickness. I usually do 2 pixels. And we want text underline offset. And for this, I usually do 3 pixels. And so by default, links will have an underline, but on focus, hover, and active, we're going to transition the text decoration color to transparent. And then let's transition that. And I'm going to use 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. Those are just the values that I like. You can use whatever timing or transition you like. So we're going to see this right away in our navigation, but in the navigation, obviously, that is styled a lot differently. But we'll at least get to see this is what our link styles will look like when we have links throughout the rest of the design. What else do we have here? Oh, access hidden. I don't think we wrote anything with access hidden, but I am going to include this. So for any text that I want to hide visually on screen, but that I want to be accessible by a screen reader, these are the styles that I generally use. And it's really as easy as adding a class to whatever it is that I want to hide, but that I still want to be accessible. I think we're going to need also a wrap. We've used div with a class of wrap in a few places here. So for a wrap, how wide is this? Let's see here. See if we can get a sense for how wide this is. So I think that this is, what is this? Does it say? I think that's about 95, and that's about 1810, 1820. So what is that? Oh, probably minus 95. So I think the width is about 1700. If we divide that by 16, let's just give this a width of 1600 pixels. That's what we did in the last design, and I think that worked really well. So let's just say max width 1600, which is 100 rems. And we'll just say margin 0 auto, and that will center everything on the page. And I think we're going to need a wrap in the header as well. So let's just go ahead and add that. Div with the class of wrap. And then we have a wrap here for the content for our hero. And then we have a wrap here for the footer as well. And I think that's about it. Oh, we also need normalize. Normalize.css. Normalize is a browser reset. Browser resets used to be much more important back in the day. I don't think that browsers are as wildly different as they used to be. I'm thinking of Internet Explorer and specifically, but they are there are small variations among the browsers, and Normalize does a good job of sort of smoothing those out. So we'll make sure we include this. And then let's go ahead and commit this. Check our status. Whoops, git status. And we will git add, git commit. And we'll just say starting global CSS styling. And git push origin main. Just like that. And access hidden equals screen reader only. Yes. I'm just in the habit of saying access hidden. But yeah, SR only is probably a little more semantic. We can update that. We'll update this. Maybe that's a good change to make. SR only. Okay, hang on. I'm going to deploy really quick. Let me open up FileZilla, and I will deploy the changes that Rahul made for us. And then we will check. I'm not going to show you FileZilla because this is my production server. And do you ever have days where where you just think to yourself, I've already said too much? I have days like that all the time. So let's see here, CSS and JS. All right. Let's see here. One moment. Hold, please. All right, let's check it out. I don't think that this is, hang on. Let's make sure that we have we need to, it's deployed. Hang on. I just deployed it. Is this caching? Oh my God. I didn't pull. Hang on. I didn't pull. I didn't do a git pull. Angela. Wow. It's a wonder that I get anything done ever at all. How can you deploy if you didn't actually pull the changes? Good Lord. Okay. All right. Here we are. So let's do a git pull. Git pull. Well, let's make sure that everything's up to date. I think it is. Yep. So we'll say git pull origin main. There we go. I guess for good measure, we should test locally. All right, here's our updated JavaScript. There we go. And we can see now that that's up to date. Look at that. Nice. Beautiful. Okay. Now let's deploy. All right, and we have our updated JavaScript. There we go. Look at that. I love it. I appreciate this so much. Little Heidi. She's so cute. All right. This was a very productive day. A little messy, a little chaotic. I mean, I'll be honest, that's normal for me. It only feels awkward when you do it in front of an audience. But honestly, after a year and a half, I should be used to that by now. Thank you to everybody who hung out with me today. Thank you, Malik. Lots of good work today. so many fun people in the chat. We had Rahul, Monique, and Malik were all here, our mods in the chat. We had Rayhan, we had Memory Clips, Kwame was here. Who else? Caffeine Cowboy was here. Rizzy G was here. Christian Codes dropped in to say hello. Avanish was here. Ka 57. Hamad was here. And I think I got everybody. Entertainment was also here. Memory Clips says, thank you for today. You're very welcome. Have a great night, everybody. Come back tomorrow. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the styling for our new project. I'm excited to build this. I think this is going to be really fun. We'll build some inner pages. I'm going to think about some menu designs. Yeah, I think it'll be fun. So, all right, have a great rest of your... Oh, do all the YouTube-y things for me if you would be so kind. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. I'm here Monday. I'm here Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's the new schedule for 2026. I'm going to update the description on my About tab. 4 days a week. We're just going to plug away building things. That's what we do here. Vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We just enjoy practicing the basics. I personally love vanilla, and I like building vanilla, and I like building UIs. So that's what I do. It's just about practicing. That's all it is. And we're just going to blast through and get a bunch of projects done this year. So Rita Kwan is here. Thanks for doing this. You're welcome, Rita. We're happy to have you. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. I will see you tomorrow morning. We're going to jump in and blast through our CSS. We have such a good start. And yeah, we're going to get this done in no time. So have a great night. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.